picture of this at the top. Glad you find it favorable.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's high noon in Goddard. We'll call this meeting to order. I ask Vice Mayor Paul to lead us in the pledge and prayer.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you so much for your goodness to us and to our community. We ask that as we conduct the business of the city, that you would guide our hearts and our minds and our decisions. And we just thank you that we get to serve in the community of Goddard, and we thank you for your favor. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, moving right along. I'll make a motion to approve this afternoon's agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Amanda seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Welcome Naomi. She joins us on the phone this afternoon. So, item D, citizen comments. You've got 3 minutes. If anybody would like to come up and make some remarks to the council, you have the opportunity to do so now. If not, we close citizen comments. There's such a big crowd here. So, ex parte agreement. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest in conversations with people in the last couple of weeks or the last 8 days that might affect today's meeting? No. Okay. Item F, appointments.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. As you are aware, the city has been hosting a steering committee, a Main Street steering committee for the past few months now. The steering committee has made great progress on organizing what our downtown revitalization organization looks like. It'll be called Goddard Main Street. We have worked on our mission statement, a vision statement, bylaws, and what our focus area is going to be in targeting downtown revitalization. So our next step, as we are in the process of adopting bylaws, is to set up the board of directors for the organization. So our board of directors is a great cross-section of the community. It includes representatives from the school district, downtown business and building owners, the library. It will include a representative from the senior center. We would also like to include a representative from city council. And so my ask before you this afternoon is to discuss who amongst the 5 of you would like to serve. The board term is 3 years. And again, this will be a standalone 501c3 organization that functions again as a nonprofit focused on the revitalization and further development of downtown Goddard. So at this time, city staff is providing technical assistance and guidance to what will become the board of directors. But we would like to have a representative. The steering committee has asked that a representative from city council serve on the board. Right now, the steering committee, and we're hoping the board will meet on the second Monday of the month at noon here in this room. And it seems to work well for everyone's schedules thus far. So with that being said, I am more than happy to answer any questions you might have about this responsibility. But again, would ask that the council discuss and vote on a representative to serve on the Goddard Main Street Board of Directors.
Now, you're already on the board.
I am. As a business owner.
Business owner, so.
How many total board members are there?
14. We also have some citizen at large members, so just a shameless plug to anyone that may be listening. We are looking for 2 more citizen at large representatives that would like to be involved in the organization.
Anybody have any great interest?
You know, I've been unable to attend the last few meetings, but I'm already plugged into this committee, so I'm happy to do it and continue to show up, hopefully actually start showing up again. I apologize for my absence the last few, but Main Street is a pretty big thing for me. I'd like to see some really great things, just being able to do the community events come to life over the next few years for this, so.
Corey, any thoughts?
I'm good for that.
Naomi?
Yes. I absolutely recommend Amanda White for this awesome opportunity.
That's a motion.
Is that a motion?
That, we'll take that in the form of a motion.
And I second.
We're a second, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amanda, thank you, appreciate you serving in that capacity. We look forward to great things as that develops. I can close my eyes and see what it'll look like in 20 years, to be honest.
A statue of you at the end of Main Street, is that the word?
We'll have to put that on the golf course that we built at some point. All right, moving on. On to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Crystal's made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Corey seconds. Any questions on it? Pretty straightforward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Motion carries 5-0. No unfinished business. New business. City manager, Ray Crissette. Something about a park. Is that?
Honorable Mayor and City Council, it is my pleasure to give you an update on the Legacy Bank Park project, as it will be officially named after our meeting today. So, as you know, the city has been working to advance the development of the Goddard North Park project, a major community investment intended to serve as a premier attraction for our residents and visitors alike. The city would like to enter into a naming rights and sponsorship agreement with Legacy Bank to support development of the park through a sponsorship contribution of $500,000 payable in 10 annual installments that would continue from this year till the end of 2035. This proposed partnership reflects a substantial private investment in a public project that will help the city deliver a high-quality park amenity, while also creating a strong civic and economic development partnership with a very respected regional financial institution. I'd also share that Legacy Bank intends to expand its presence in Goddard with a future branch location. Hopefully the building that they will be going in will be under construction this year, and we will be welcoming them into our community as a bank branch next year. I also want to add, as we look at the pretty pictures, that here with us today is their President and Chief Executive Officer, Stephen Solentrop, and I'm going to let Mr. Solentrop come up here when I get to the end of my presentation, give him a few moments with you. I think some of you guys have all seen the pictures, but if you haven't, we'll look at a couple of them here real quick. You can see all the project partners here, leading off with Legacy Bank, Schaefer, you know, in our design team, and then at the last council meeting, you awarded the contract to Comco Construction to go out there and build this thing. You see here, we got the indoor and outdoor pavilion, the private meeting space is in there. Maple Street's going to be running back here. We're going to pay homage to the former farmstead that was here. We can date it back as far as 1882. The Martin Home family homesteaded here, and the windmill that's out there today is believed to have existed dating back to the very early 1900s when the Home family was still there. Looking to the east, you got the dog park and the 3 pickleball courts, and then the much anticipated pond amenity is going to be here to the south. Excuse my clicker. This is a look at underneath the pavilion, so it should look very similar to this. You can see here, there's actually 2 garage doors there. There's going to be like a little kitchenette in there, all the audio-visual equipment you can need, so we can have private gatherings, anywhere from corporate events to reunions to birthday parties, all sorts of things. rentable space is a hot commodity in Goddard, so we're super excited to have another option. There's 3 restrooms over here. On the north side is going to be like your utility closet. We keep some lawn equipment over there and those types of things. The food truck area, we actually have some bollards over here that separate the parking lot from this big concrete area. Food trucks will be able to pull just right up into there. This is kind of your tops area, so for the younger kids, and then as you move to the east, you know, the older kid equipment, I think they call it the 5 to 12-year-olds enjoy. The PowerPoint doesn't really like the large file there, so hopefully you guys had a chance to see all those exciting renderings. So a little more analysis here. The city grants Legacy Bank the exclusive right to have the park officially identified and referred to as Legacy Bank Park. It's a 50-year agreement. Legacy Bank has the right of first negotiation at the time of renewal. I do plan to still be your city manager then. Legacy Bank will receive recognition in city publications, maps, promotional materials, event materials, and project-related public events. Complimentary use of the park's event space on a first-come, first-served basis, subject to our regular procedure for scheduling. We'll have physical recognition of Legacy Bank throughout the park on the wayfinding signs, the entryway signs, and then the roundabout at 183rd and Maple. You guys might recall I shared fantastic news with you a couple of weeks ago. Last morning actually, the WAMPO Technical Advisory Committee approved, there's 3 groups that have to approve this sub-allocated funding for the 183rd Street project. The mayor's group is up next. I think, when do you guys meet?
The 12th.
Sorry to put you on the spot. So in a week or 2, one final approval, and then we'll have 80% of the funding for the project that paves 183rd from Maple to Central, and then constructs this beautiful roundabout that'll be an amazing entry point into the park. So super excited about that. It's a major financial relief to have not only the funding from Legacy Bank for the park, but to have the sub-allocated funding from WAMPO to improve the transportation in that area that's starting to become a little congested because of all the great development that's going on. So some of this is a bit redundant. I'll just add that on the 183rd and Maple roundabout, the city will contribute up to $50,000 for the monument within the roundabout. If Legacy Bank would like to build something of more grandeur, they're welcome to match any amount above that, and we'll put it out there. So the legal team, Morris Lang, put this together, did a great job of working with the legal team of Legacy Bank, and we're real happy with where it's at. And so with that, Mr. Solentrop, I'd like to offer you a chance at the podium if you want to share anything with the governing body.
Good afternoon. Really just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. Legacy Bank, if you're not familiar, we were founded, we're celebrating 140 years this year. We were founded just down the street in a neighboring community of Colwich. And we are identifying as a community bank, as we always have. And so through this opportunity, for the naming rights of the park, we have a lot of excitement. We are a commercial bank that has a niche in commercial real estate and residential real estate development. And so you may see our signs around the community. We work with a lot of builders and developers that you are familiar with, and have relationships in this area, and felt that through the opportunity with the naming rights, as well as the aforementioned future branch plans, we're excited to help carry forward the momentum Goddard already has. Very much appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We do really appreciate the donation and your investment in the park. I mean, it's been a big answer to prayer as we've gone through this process. At stretch class this morning, I mentioned that you're going to build a branch here in town, and a couple people were pretty excited about that because they live south of Kellogg, and and they don't like crossing Kellogg, so it'd be easier for them to get there. So already you've got customers, I think, that'll appreciate being in our community. So we really do thank you. It'll be a great partnership for both of us, I think. So.
Thank you.
Mayor, I want to extend a personal thanks as well to Mr. Solentrop and the Legacy Bank Board. It was really a seamless process and fun to work with them on bringing this to fruition, and just so grateful for their generosity. And Mayor Lieb and I had the privilege of going to their ribbon cutting for their new branch on Mays Road, and it all felt just right walking in there and feeling like we were amongst family and friends. Several of our community partners that we work with all the time were there celebrating as well, and it was kind of like, you know, that Spider-Man meme where you're like, what are you doing? So that was just a really cool moment, and it just felt like everything was right, and we're really grateful to have these guys come in to make the investments in our communities and just to further our partnership with them and for the betterment of Goddard. So.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. That was closer.
We do have an audit, which may be of interest to you, so you're welcome to enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you. You bet. Thanks.
Thank
bet.
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
It's almost like we should take a break and have a party with it. We'll
The
press on.
party's coming.
Yeah, we'll press on. CFO, you're next.
I'm gonna make sure Anne's still on.
She is, I think she's silencing
I got
one
you,
word.
okay. All right, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It is my pleasure to, introduce our auditors today, with our 2025 audit. Randy Ford and Amy Hedrick are here to present the audit, and I just want to say, thank you to all the staff that helped me with the audit this year, and also extra thanks to BFR for all of their assistance. They had to take on quite a bit more work this year just because of several factors. The Tyler Tech implementation cleanup, they really assisted us with a lot of that work and made sure that, you know, we're going to be ready to roll forward in our new software appropriately. It also, since we received over $1 million in federal funds, our audit actually jumped up to have 2 audits this year, so we had a single audit with our regular audit. So there was a lot more scope, a lot more work that was done, and they worked very diligently to make sure everything was done timely, and we were here at this meeting today and not one in May. So keeps us in schedule with our budget and all the things that we have to do that's coming up with that. So with that being said, I'll introduce Randy and Amy and have them come up and do the audit.
I know this will disappoint everyone, but I don't think I'll make the 50 years with Craig. So you're all gonna have to find somebody in between now and 50 years. So just to get that out there from the way surprise. So
Maybe Mr. Reimer will make the 50.
No, you don't want so if you were to compare this to last year's, it's much heavier. Single audit adds several pages to it. So I'll just go through here, hit a few of the highlights, and then if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take those. So if you flip to it is the 3rd page in, which is on our letterhead, that's our opinion on your financial statement, and that's what you've hired us to do. So there's 2 opinions given. Second paragraph is an adverse opinion. You've elected not to follow generally accepted accounting principles. Virtually, there are very few government entities in Kansas that do so. So as a result, we have to issue an adverse opinion because this is used for issuing public debt, those types of things. Most important is the 3rd paragraph, which is an unmodified opinion on the regulatory basis of accounting, which is the election we made. So what that means is, based on our audit, we didn't come across any variances or any errors as far as your reporting in accordance with that basis of accounting. Then after that is just a little more opinion related to those opinions, a little more information related to those opinions. On page 2, it indicates your responsibilities for the financial statement. I'm going to come back to that here at the end. Our responsibility when we do the audit, we exercise judgment, we do professional care, understanding of internal control, those types of things. And then lastly, there is supplemental information that supports the financial statement, but the financial statement is on page 5. A new thing this year is on the bottom of page 4, there's a new paragraph. I'll jump on that here in just a little bit. So page 5 is your financial statement. It's a summary of your activity for the year, beginning cash receipts, expenditures. Key column is the ending unencumbered cash balance. Your funds are all positive or zero, which indicates compliance with the cash basis law. You'll notice you have one encumbrance or accounts payable. That's actually an adjustment we make. That relates to expenditures made in January and is specifically related to your capital projects. I actually always recommend that the city not record that accounts payable, because during the course of the year, you've got to monitor those projects. Well, all of a sudden, if you record the accounts payable at year end, you've got kind of one exception to the way you're monitoring, and monitoring those projects is really important. So as a result, in my opinion, it's really better, let us make an adjusting entry for the audit, but you continue to do your thing, because like I said, it just creates another issue within those. So that's why it's done. You can easily do it, Brooke's aware of it, she knows it's coming, and so as a result, like I said, I would continue to do that. Then after that are the notes of the financial statement. They're really intended for third-party users. They explain what the city is, information about your basis of accounting we talked about earlier. On page 7 is your budget cycle. Then starting on page 8 are just general disclosures that are in a governmental set of financial statements. Information on capers, that goes from 8 to 9. Information on your compensated absences. Just like I said, more general information, contingencies, litigation. There's information on your investments in cash on page 12. I will note that there were no violations as far as collateral. Transfers are on page 13. You do have on page 13, note 13, you do have IRBs that have tax abatements to them. Those are calculated, that's in essence the tax that would be collected without those abatements. Capital projects are on page 14, and Brooke does this schedule. We have audited it quarterly, but she prepares this, does all the calculations, and which is a lot of work. You're the only city that I have that does that. And then starting on 15 is new this year. You have some leases. You have conduit debt, which is related to IRBs. Then you did do an advance refunding this year on note 17. That's basically where you take money, set it aside, and the earnings on that pay part of the debt. And then your long-term debt starts on 16, over to 17, and ends on 18. And that's fluid, that changes constantly as you're going project. So that is your financial statement. After that, I will be very brief, your regulatory information. So this is the supplementary information that supports the financial statements in a little more detail. Page 19 is actually an important schedule, demonstrates compliance with the budget law, shows your budget. The key column is the far right. Those negatives are under budget, so no budget violations. And then this is kind of a good time to mention, when we do the audits, there's about 35 to 40 compliance requirements you have to consider, not all of which are applicable, but there were no violations of any statutes. So I'm going to skip to this next part, because like I said, it's basically, everything on this next part is detailed information that supports those first two schedules. So if you're bored tonight, you can take that home and you can look at that. Then starting on page 40 is some additional information. This kind of has a feel of gap to it. It provides some information related to activities for the year that are slightly different. I mean, it's more summarized than what you see in your other schedules. So this information isn't required, but it's added in case you ever want to do a GFOA certification or anything like that. I won't go through those in detail. So then the next section I want to go to is on page 46, which is once again our letter here. So this is the federal awards portion of the audit issue. So when you do a single audit, we conduct your normal audit of your financial statement, and then we step aside and say, okay, now we have new standards we have to follow and new auditing we have to do. So the first thing we have to do that's different is a report on your compliance with internal control and compliance matters. So this is an internal control audit. So what that means is during the course of the audit, we have a transaction that has either an internal control component or a compliance component, which virtually all of them do. We just have to make sure that the internal control is in place and operating, or that you're in compliance. Like I mentioned earlier, no non-compliance, we didn't have any internal control problems. So as a result, there's no findings. Flip 2 more pages, once again on our letterhead. This now is another opinion. So we issue a specific opinion on your federal programs that we test. So the second paragraph is once again our opinion, which is unmodified opinion. So during our test of your federal money, we didn't come across any non-compliance with federal requirements, which are different than anything else you guys do. So no issues there. And then he goes through with the same thing that the first one does, but the key thing is that. So 51 is your schedule of federal expenditures for the year. You have 2 programs, one for $1,423. We ignored that one. And then we looked at the big one, the $1.18 million. So we have to look to make sure the expenditures reporting within that program comply. So once again, no non-compliance. 52 is just some information regarding that schedule. 53 is kind of a nice addition that's required. So this is a summary of your audit really from start to finish. Unmodified opinions, no findings, no deficiencies, no findings related to your federal program, what we tested. And then the one thing I do want to point out, number 9 says you're not a low-risk auditee. That's an audit concept. It doesn't indicate that there's a problem. Several criteria. One is you have to have a single audit for the prior 2 years, which obviously you haven't, and you also have to follow the GAAP. So it's just once again, a audit concept. It doesn't indicate a problem to the city. And then after that is a schedule that says you had no prior year findings, which is obvious that you didn't have a single audit report, but we still have to tell the federal government that. So that's the audit, somewhat in summary. I did hand out a 2-page letter. This is an overall summary of the audit. Have we had any findings, difficulties, significant adjustments that you reported in there? There aren't any. And then lastly, I just kind of want to mention that Brooke is actively involved in as far as pulling the financial statement together. We actually meet for well over an hour at the end. We've given her a drafted report. She's looked at it. She always has some things she wants to change, which that's part of when we do the audit. We have to have some assurance that the client's looking at this financial statement. We're pulling it together with assurance, and she obviously has, because she'll find typos, she'll find things that she wants to reword. So several of these notes she's tweaked to better fit your city. So we really appreciate that. That's something that's really important as part of the audit. So like I said, it's great to work with that kind of staff and that type of support. So hopefully that's relatively short. I normally expect a bigger turnout, when the audit's on the board.
I think they're all waiting. The overflow, they're the overflow.
Press conference.
That's right. Well, we appreciate the work that you do on the audit, and work we appreciate the work that you do every day, plus, just another.
We heard this was quite a bit tougher for you this year as well. It took a little more time, so I just want to make sure that you're recognized as well, because you've really overhauled the way that things are done financially here, and it's a lot more transparent, and again, color-coded, which I appreciate. So I just thank you guys for all of your hard work this year. We know it was a little tougher, and just seeing the value in getting this done. So
Great job.
All right. Need a motion to.
There's no motion,
File
well,
and
motion to
receive.
file and
Yes.
receive it, yes, so.
Okay. I make the motion
Yeah, why don't
to
you?
file and receive the report, the audit.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries.
You were right, she didn't have.
4-0. Okay. Let's see if we can catch it back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on.
I'd like to take a moment to say hello to 2 of my grandchildren that are watching also. They can't understand why Grandpa's on Grandma's phone, but it's pretty funny. I get a little message here, so. Are we close there? So.
Yeah, she's back.
You're
Naomi's
back.
back.
All right, on to the next item here.
Okay, I want to back up just a tad bit, back into the consent agenda, just because we got some data in after, since 10 o'clock this morning on item number 4, bid award, item number 3, the tent note sale resolution. And so, just want you to know there's 2 note sales that happened, a tax exempt and a taxable. And, on the tax exempt, we had 3 bids, and the winning bid came in at 3.17%. So that's a pretty good interest rate for that one. The high, was a 3.25, so out of those 3 bids, they were very competitive. On the taxable note that we sold, we had 4 bidders, and it came in a little bit higher at 4.39%. The highest bid was actually 4.55. So just wanting to give you some information on those 2 sales. Again, one is taxable and one is non-taxable for our development projects and our CID projects. So just wanted to give you an update on those items.
And that's the primary difference in the rates, isn't it?
Probably,
Taxable,
yeah.
non-taxable.
So, all right, lots of stuff to go over today, and I'm glad we were able to get this on the agenda, because we needed to do the first quarter financial statements, so we're in alignment with our budget calendar, and a lot of these numbers are being rolled right into the budget as we're preparing them right now. So, on our agenda today, it's the same items that we talk about every single time. I haven't changed it up this go around. So these are the items on our agenda. We do this every quarter, and this has been updated onto the website already to ensure our transparency and consistency in our financial reporting to you all. We'll go right into the general fund. So this is our first quarter. So again, we don't have a whole lot of data other than first quarter and then comparison to our this time last year. So you will see our blue columns are our 2026 year-to-date numbers. The green is our 2025 year-to-date at this point in time, and then the pink is our year-over-year change. Everything's looking really good for first quarter based on, considering our year-over-year change. I'm noticing a significant increase in our alcohol taxes that we receive in. That comes from the state. And so I believe the reason that number is up is we've been classified as a city over 6,000 now. So I think the calculation and the formula gives us a little more revenue. So we're going to beat this. We've already beat our budget projections, so I didn't do very well in projecting those dollars out. So it's always better to be way over budget on a revenue source than way over on an expenditure source, so, but we will take that. Building permits and fees are up substantially this point of the year, and that's kind of, I think, to be expected because it was kind of slow going last year with all of the rain and just kind of being pushed out, and I think the cycle is showing that, with the dry first quarter, we're starting to see a lot more building permits come in, so that's why it's probably higher than it was this time last year. Court and police income is still down, and it's continuously kind of going down, but again, I think that's due to a decrease in our police staffing, and just being able to patrol when we're low staffed, and also have to, do trainings and things like that. Pool revenue is up just a tad bit this time of year. That is for our pool party reservations that are already starting to come in. Top 5 revenue sources for the general fund right now is our property taxes, sales tax, franchise taxes, comp use tax, and some miscellaneous income. So again, those are all right where we expected them to be. Going back to property taxes, we've increased 14% over this time last year, and that's to be expected with our, roughly 11% to 13% valuation increase and a little bit of mills that we raised the mill last year. So I mean that's to be expected with that. Any questions on revenue at this point? Moving on to our general fund expenditures, you will see everything's looking really good. I do want to mention that the year-over-year change may look slightly skewed because if you recall back last year when we did our budgets, we reallocated salaries around to different places. You're gonna see some of this in our enterprise funds where one's higher and one's lower and it's kind of substantial, but you know, we reallocated a lot of the administrative costs there in for salary, so that's kind of where you're seeing some increases there. And also down into the economic development and planning and zoning, we totally took salaries out of one and added it to the other one. So a good portion of that is related to that. Also, first quarter, we did have to double up in some staffing. If you recall, you know, Lori and Kathy were retiring and they were still on our books, and so that's going to show higher this time than last year. And also there were some retirement payouts that accompanied that. So again, I think all of these are to be expected. Capital outlay discretionary, I had a hard time kind of determining how I wanted to present this to you because it looks like we're way over budget or getting really close to being over budget, and it's just first quarter, but we had a substantial amount of dollars come in first quarter that were for 2025 street projects that we had to pay. So that's where we had said we were booking those costs to. So $314,000 of that line item is really related to prior year projects. So to make it seem reasonable, I increased the budget number there by those dollars that are coming in from 2025 to show you that we're really not over budget in that category. I'm trying to make that transparent to you. So when we go ahead and spend the rest of the $400,000 that we have budgeted there, you're not seeing $700,000 on that line and being over budget. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. First quarter also, transfers in the general fund have been made. Special highway fund received their transfers, equipment reserves, and special parks and recreation. I also want to mention that just kind of differences, and we talked about this last year in the budgeting, we are paying all the streets projects out of the street fund this year. Last year we kind of had to go to several different places. Some of it was paid out of the general fund as you're seeing it come out here. Some was paid out of the capital improvement fund. We made the choice last year during budgeting, we will transfer all of the dollars for those projects to the street fund, and they can flow through the street fund appropriately. So you will not see those types of items within the general fund other than through the transfers from general fund to finance that. The top 5 expenditure categories, you will see our capital outlay discretionary line item, planning and zoning, community center and senior programs, court and police administration. Really, all of these are pretty standard. Moving forward into our special revenue and enterprise funds, again, these nothing really here has changed. These are the same funds that we've had last year, and we'll just kind of go through those. Revenues, our special revenue and enterprise fund revenues, everything's looking really great here. Special highway and streets shows a 21% increase. That is strictly due to the transfers that we are transferring into that right now, and the little bit of highway tax that we receive in. So again, that's to be expected. Special parks and recreation, our community impact fees are up just a bit due to building permits, so you can kind of see why that is over last year's amount. I do want to mention tourism and promotion fund revenue is down, and that is due to our transient guest tax being way lower than expected. And in fact, I reached out to the state and asked what's going on here, and they said it's due to some of the tax collections that they have not received yet from some of the entities out there. So that should catch up once that gets rectified, but again, I think we've only brought in like $2,000 or $3,000 when typically I would have expected to see 15 by now. So I am monitoring that. I don't think there's really anything I can do about it, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't have somebody to have a calculation off somewhere that it wasn't happening and where it should be going. So let's
Brooke,
see.
I just quick note, when we were looking into that, we learned that one of our new city attorneys used to work for KDOR. So we've got a pretty good asset that if it does seem like it's a lingering issue, we can set Morris Lang onto it to figure out what's going on.
Enterprise funds, water and sewer and stormwater all look excellent. They're all up. A little bit of miscellaneous revenue down. I'm not real sure why that's down a little bit. It's just probably those are the miscellaneous things that come in, reconnect fees and so on and so forth. But overall, enterprise funds are looking good with revenue. We'll talk about those again in a second. Expenditures in all of these funds looking really pretty good. The only one, tourism, it looks like our year-over-year change in debt service is up a little bit. That's just due to new debt coming on and new issuances that we have to pay, and I mean, it's all expected. Tourism promotion is up 90%. This time last year, I think Danny just started, so we hadn't really had any expenses, so you can definitely see a difference in, you know, just the timing there. And like I said, at the end of the year, that should probably level out. Water utility and sewer utility. So here's an example, when those expenses are up and down, we reallocated salaries around. So some of it went there, some of it went to water, some of it went to sewer. We leveled those out, divided those between streets, water, and sewer. So those are some of the differences that you'll see within those. Transfers year to date in these funds, they've all been made. I went ahead and made 100% of the debt service payment, our debt service transfers for water and sewer. Last year I kind of ran into running the fund really close to the edge just because I had waited to make my transfers, and it was because I didn't make those transfers, so I said let's just go ahead and make them so we don't have to worry about them anymore. And they'll be there at the end of the day. So transfers overall are at 68%, but they really should be at 25%. But with those two items, we had the cash flow to make it work, and I didn't want to run it right up next to the edge like that. Go crying in Craig's office about, oh my gosh, what have I done type thing. So, moving on to enterprise fund performance, we'll talk about the water fund and how it's working. Overall, the water fund remains stable with strong reserves and consistent consumption trends. Hopefully y'all are looking at the water consumption report that we provide monthly in your packet. Kayla and Stephanie up front helped me put that together, so I appreciate their help on that. Our total operating revenues for first quarter are $403,000, operating expenses $298,000, leaving us with a net operating income of $104,000. We have additional non-operating revenue related to the water fund. We have some interest in both the water fund and the water reserve fund, and then we bring in some extra money through equity fees. So with that being said, we transfer out, as we mentioned earlier, to the debt service fund, water reserve fund, equipment reserve fund, capital improvement fund. Overall, we have a net decrease in net position of $92,000. That I kind of look at that number, just make sure how does our metrics look when I get to the second page here. So I look at our total water utility fund balances, and in our water fund and our water reserve fund, we have 1.4 remaining as of first quarter. We had some capital and financing activities that some affect cash and some of them don't. We had about $87,000 coming out of the water reserve fund for, I believe that was for the Everly Trails projects that we're working on. So we financed some of that stuff just straight out of cash. And then we have a couple of projects, the SCADA, a portion of it comes out of this, is allocable to the water fund, but it's being held within the capital improvement fund. So that didn't affect the fund balance in the water and water reserve funds, but it did affect the capital outlay, our capital improvement fund cash. And then we had about $246,000 worth of water looping project costs that have come in. So that doesn't affect the fund balance in those because that's a project held outside of this, but they're related to this, and I wanted to factor that in. Our operating ratio is at 74.05%, which is excellent. We would want anything under 80%. So as long as we're maintaining under that, we feel pretty good that even if we are eating up some of our fund balance, as long as our operating ratio looks good. Net income as a percentage of operating revenue is also good at 25%. Days of cash on hand, 1732, and debt service coverage ratio 2.24. So Again, those are all excellent ratios. I feel like our water fund is very healthy. We don't really have any needs or issues at this moment. Any questions on water?
So the fact that you transferred a little bit of money out, more money out of the debt service and transfers out, it had an impact on your net
Yeah.
cash position. So
It did.
going forward to the next 3 quarters.
That'll correct itself because, yeah, you won't have any more debt service transfers. You will have the rest of those, you know, an
Right.
additional 50,000 coming out for transfers, you know.
But if you had done the quarterly transfer, that number would probably be
Yes.
close to 5, or be
Correct.
closer.
Mhm. Sewer utility fund, same drill. We look at our operating revenue at 478,000. Subtract out our operating expenses at 264, leaves us with $213,000 of net income. So that's looking really good. Then we have some additional revenues coming in for interest for the sewer and sewer reserve and some equity fees of $36,000, and then we did our transfers out, leaving us with a negative 170,621. Again, that's kind of high, but like you said, if we hadn't made our complete transfers to the debt service, that would have been positive in this instance. So we would have been looking really, really good. But we had to make those debt payments, so it's all still good.
It's all good.
Our sewer fund balance, sewer utility balance, including both our sewer and reserve fund, we're sitting at 2.2 million, so that's really good. So we're going to be looking at being able, you know, to finance some projects through that and probably bring that down a little bit. I know we have some things pegged in 2026 and 2027 budget items. I think I've gotten another list of items from the team that these things will need to be done. So that's a good thing that we're setting on that kind of cash. Capital outlay, we have spent about $169,000 from reserves, which those I believe were all budgeted projects that we plan to do that with. So there's no surprise there. And then $127,000 for tent note projects coming out of that as well. Operating ratio 55.31. Again, anything under 80 is good. Net income as a percentage of operating revenue 44.69. Anything over 6% is good. So it's sitting really good. 3,000 days of cash on hand. Debt service coverage ratio 1.31. So again, everything is tracking really good there. I really like to see that because that truly means that I believe that our rates are where they need to be. We may be accumulating some cash right now, and those days of cash on hand are pretty high. I mean, they're really high, or they're honestly extremely high. That I know that we're going to need those dollars. And when we get ready to finance the water looping and the public works facility and all of those things, that's going to really help us in the long run with that. So
It's called being prudent in financial terms.
yeah. All right, so we'll go on and talk about our capital improvement and reserve fund overview. Right now, all capital improvement funds, that includes our projects, temp note, developer projects and cities, we're sitting at $50 million right now for those projects. And a breakdown of those projects right now, you can see all of the developer projects, and then I have that, you know, in orange, they're the city project fund. So 30 million of that is temp note projects, 20 million of that is our city projects, and you can break that down into our capital improvement fund is setting at 1.8 million. A little bit of those dollars are related to SCADA still, because we have a SCADA note that's out. But I will be probably utilizing some of those funds in the future budget in 2027 to kind of, you know, start using some of those dollars to pay for things. Let's see, our water looping project fund right now is sitting at 6.7 million, public works facility at 5.5, and North Park is sitting at 6.2. So our total city project funds are sitting at $20 million.
Rick, I might just add to the city projects there, the water looping, public works in North Park, those numbers include capitalized interest, so we're not necessarily building a $6.7 million water looping project.
Yeah, those are total bond proceeds, and proceeds do include cap interest and issuance cost. So that isn't total project dollars in there. Right. Reserve fund balances right now, in our equipment reserves, we're sitting at 271,000, sewer utility reserves at 831, and water utility reserves at 236. Those have really pretty much stayed pretty level. We earn some interest, we have some equity fees that come in, we could buy something, and we kind of just keep playing this game. So they're really kind of staying pretty steady. And even as I'm projecting, I've started working on 2027 stuff, and I think even with that in the needs, it's gonna stay pretty constant. I don't envision us taking this down a whole lot. Things that we purchased in the first quarter, we have some computer and office equipment for about 23,000, and some vehicles and the components that go with those for 87. Just as a reminder, and you'll see this probably during our budget presentations and stuff, but you know, we contract with Imagine IT, and they provide us each year with a budget of their services, and then capital projects that we have to do. So we have everybody's on a schedule for a computer replacement, and everybody, you know, we're going to do these projects, and those are all within the budget. So the computer and office equipment, that's a good piece of, you know, people got a new machine because it doesn't update or whatever it does. And the vehicles and components is our police vehicle that we purchase.
Where does because we have a public works vehicle as well, that's under a different fund, is that?
Public works vehicles are just a little bit different because they go, on our capital, they're chosen through the operations.
Okay, they're just in a different place than this.
They're in a different place than that. So when I budget for vehicles and equipment, they all get divided between 20, 30, and 40, which is streets, or sewer, water, and streets. And so you will see that on the capital. What is it? It's got its own line in the operation. So, yeah. If by chance we were having an issue with financing or paying for those out of those lines in our budget, we were going negative there, I may try to maybe utilize it out of the equipment reserve fund, but I don't do that way.
Okay, thank you.
Debt summary, as of 3/31, we have a total of $104.9 million in total financed debt. Not all of that is related to city projects. 49% of that, or $51 million, is related to developer projects that are in progress right now. Special assessments, $23 million, that's 22%. So those are items that have gone to permanent finance, and we're paying with those through specials. And then we have city projects right now at 29% with $30.4 million. That does include permanently financed and tent note projects as well. So I always think this is a good schedule to show, just because we feel like we issue a lot of debt, and oh my gosh, is it all on us? And it isn't all on us. At the end of the day, if everything went bad, it is on us, but you know, we are counting on, you know, tax revenues to support a good portion of these projects. So, treasury update, happy to report that interest earnings right now are up 95% in first quarter, but we're sitting on an additional $40 million of cash as we're trying to find, or you know, pay for these projects. So that's why that's that way. All the interest rates right now are really pretty competitive. I think these are all going well.
Brooke, I might make another comment, because I don't know if others have caught this. I think the mayor probably knows, because we talked to him about this stuff quite a bit, but most of that cash, like that $40 million at People's Bank and a couple of the other ones, those are, if you go back one slide, those are attributed to that green right there. So those are temporary funds that we are earning interest on. And when say Trails End second and third edition, you approved a water line out there, you know, there's a couple $1 million of that that'll be floating around in that green there. When we get those temporary notes, we're able to go invest them and generate interest earnings on those dollars. So the growth has so much economic impact. It's maybe one that folks don't think of often, but then the balance will dwindle down, because typically those tent notes are only open 3 years or so, and then they're permanently financed, and that $40 million is drawn down. However, when you're constantly issuing more temporary notes, you know, you're kind of replenishing as you're expending, so to speak. Like tonight, you just sold notes to bring in a couple million more bucks to put in there. So we're using their money to work for us and earn interest.
Any questions on that? It's just a pretty little chart that shows the interest rate graphs and where everybody said it's fun to make. I don't know. We don't talk about it a whole lot, but okay.
Got pretty colors in it.
Yeah,
See,
that's pretty
I'm
good.
just, it's important.
The first quarter treasurer's report has been sent to the paper. This is pretty standard. It shows your total fund balance. Right now we're sitting at 61 million. Total cash should tie to that number, and it does, to 61 million, and it also shows our debt that we just talked about of 104 million. No additions or reductions right now in this category. Principal payments would be the only thing. You'll see this, what we issued for debt today, show up there as an addition next time. And if we have any principal payments, which I don't know if we will, we may have one on 6/1. It's a principal payment. If not, most of them are due in October. So you'll see that change a little bit more. Change in fund balance, this just goes to show the beginning of the year to first quarter, just kind of the changes in that. And the overall change is a decrease of about 3.6 million, but again, we are paying for projects, North Park, all of the tent note projects. You know, that's a good portion of just showing that work's getting done in those funds. Fund balance compliance review. This is our drill to make sure that we're staying above the 25% fund balance based on your expenditures so far, and we're way over that right now. All operating funds remain in compliance with the city's 25 minimum fund balance policy. The 2026 council approved city projects is this slide, and I just went ahead and added something just so we can remember and help me remember. If you see an asterisk by these items, it indicates that this was an unbudgeted item that we decided to go ahead and do, or there was a material change to something that we decided to do that was budgeted. This does not include developer projects. This is just city projects that we approve. It helps me keep track of, you know, and help you all keep track of what we do throughout the year, because this will get pretty lengthy, and then we'll wonder, you know, maybe check statuses of these projects. Finally, just some things to talk about, and then I kind of want to talk about the budget just real shortly. But right now, we are in stage 2 of 6 of our Tyler ERP implementation. We went through our first data extract the week of the 20th, and everything went very, very smooth. I want to thank Sarah and Kayla, and I think we were the only ones working on the reports this time around, but we had to coordinate with G-Works. They brought us our data, and boy, they were really quick to give it to us, so it was really nice of them. And then we've sent all that stuff to Tyler, and they're analyzing all of that data right now. And then we also had to download a ton of reports that they're going to try to match to the data. So we, as a team, we got all that stuff to them. Kayla and I have completed the first round of trainings. There's about 1 million more that we need to do, but that's kind of where we are at this point in time. 2027 budget prep. At your table, you will see that I provided you an updated calendar and also a budget summary, a budget survey, and the current results as of today. Our next big tasks as a council and as a group will be for our budget meetings will start happening in June. So we are going to receive hopefully our data from the county clerk on June 15th, and that's when I will be able to really make sure that we are where we want to be in the general fund. I'm working on the general fund right now. I've almost got it completed. Working on streets is almost complete. Debt service is almost complete. So I feel like I'm sitting really good right now with getting all the numbers in there, just kind of waiting for the county to give us those numbers. But on June 23rd and 24th. Those are going to be our first council work sessions that will bring all this to you with that information. House Bill 2043, if you've all been following, got vetoed last night. So we don't have to try to incorporate any sort of crazy changes in the middle of budget season this year. There may be something that happens next year that we need to worry about, but for now we're safe. With that being said, projections, I anticipate there to be issues next year with the budget process and mill levies and property taxes, so I may have a tendency to pull back my revenue projections just a bit, just to accompany those potential changes. You know, typically I probably would do 11 or 10 to 11% increase, but I may drop it down, I don't know, 8%. So just to kind of see, kind of give me some room to wiggle just in case at the end of the day. So 2027 is going to be okay, but when you start seeing my projections through 2030, they may be a lot more colorful, yeah, to talk about.
As long as they allow us to capture new dollars based on new rooftops, new businesses, new construction, that is, and they don't try to limit our levy ability to service our debt, then we should be fine. There'll be other communities that could suffer greatly, but we're well positioned because of our growth. So as long as we can continue to capture the value from the growth, we should be in good shape.
Yeah. Also at your table, you will have an updated budget survey, and as of today, we've had 42 responses. So we're getting up there. Anyway, tell your friends, take survey. It's kind of interesting to read some of the information in here, and there's things that I'm starting to read it as I'm preparing the budget, and I'm talking to Craig, and this is kind of what I'm seeing. Should I do this? Should I do that? I just want to highlight just a couple of things, just for you to think about. Our city, the city's 5 and 5 Street program, are we meeting expectations, or not meeting expectations? And 61% say they feel like we are meeting expectations. So that makes us feel pretty good. However, in the next question, beyond the 5-year time frame, do you support this? And 42% said consider extending with adjustments. So I don't know, that might be something to think about. Again, this is only 42 people. You know, maybe they want us to spend dollars elsewhere, and we can visit that at that point in time. It's just kind of interesting. Another one is on page 5, which priorities for Means Park, Linear Park, and Goddard Pool splash pad should receive the most emphasis in the 2027 budget. As I'm preparing budget discussions with department heads, the pool is starting to have a pretty high dollar, and you guys will see this when I get there, but I'm trying to summarize all this stuff together. We're starting to find quite a few expenses related to the pool that we hadn't really, we thought about putting some dollars to it, but it just isn't going to cover it. However, we did plan in our 10-year CIP to put $150,000 towards Means Park playground equipment. And according to this schedule, people think pool is more important than playground improvements. So I think Craig and I are kind of thinking about juggling some money from that maybe over to the pool instead, to try to, accommodate that survey question. Again, you all will be able to make the final decision, but these are just some thoughts in our processes. The city's current budget approximately has $46,000 from the general fund for senior center operations, which are most important to the community. And right now, meals program is ranking pretty high, along with health and wellness programs. The next question related to the senior center program states, should it be increased, decreased, or remain the same? And right now, it's 59.5% saying remain the same in the funding level. And I know that we are discussing increasing senior meals, senior transportation, and senior center fund quite a bit. So I just want you to know that this is what I'm seeing on here. We're going to proceed with, the direction that I have with putting all of those things in place, but that is a conflict with this survey. So get your friends to take the survey.
Yeah, I'd like to definitely see more. I feel like 42 out of several thousand.
Yes, exactly.
That's about 7 times more than took it last year, so we're getting better.
Right, yeah, we're getting better.
Baby steps.
Let's see. Moving on to our enterprise funds, things that are most important to people are water quality and keeping rates affordable. So keep that in mind. And out of the 40 people that have taken the survey, 81% of these people are Goddard residents. And 45.2 have lived here more than 10 years. So that's just a tad bit of some information. Again, this is going to change based on who takes it, and it's on the website now, the current update, so people can see what I'm seeing and what we have to work with. So after that, staff training and updates. I just want to mention that Kayla is taking the Emerging Leaders Academy, and she's graduating in June, so we're really proud of her for taking that initiative. And on May 19th, the City of Goddard is hosting the Area Finance Directors Meeting through WSU and Dr. Guo. So we're pretty excited to be able to host that here and bring everybody in. So that being said, that's all I got.
Thank you so much.
So,
Any questions?
So our current population is 6,000, what is it, 6?
No, we think we're over 7,200, but that's a really
The
difficult to
range,
estimate.
take that water study, 2,640 meters, and take it times 3, and then take it times 2.5. And somewhere probably in that range is a number. Or if you want to be real aggressive, take it by 3.2. But it'll be interesting to see when the next census comes out, and we can match that off with those meters, and we can get a more accurate number of how to project that. So, but I think it's in that range. So.
I have a question, and I was present at last year's meeting, so I just remember hearing that at one point the Tanganyika was down. Looks like it's not though, like they're doing very well.
their sales tax revenue?
Yes, and so for us, because I think a lot of what they're getting now, just the way they're structuring, is outside of Goddard tourism. And so what does that look like for other areas, like our sales tax in like Walmart, or do we have any idea how that's benefiting us, or maybe just not benefiting us?
We have to be careful in the way we have that conversation about these private enterprises.
Yeah.
And Brooke is privy to data that she is not
share.
lawfully
Right,
allowed
okay,
to share.
that's fair, yeah.
But based on, because we have a star bond district, it's pretty easy to figure out, you know, how much sales tax is being collected, and knowing that Walmart's like 90% of it, you know, that Walmart's probably worth $750,000 to $1 million a year in sales tax revenue to us. It is huge. I don't think
That,
if you,
all that money in the star bond district that's being collected is going to pay the star bonds,
Pays the
which is
star
what's
bond.
paid
Correct,
off.
yeah, I just remember hearing the conversation that at one point last year, there was talks of like that number being down.
It was down last year,
Yeah.
and I mean, this is first quarter.
Right.
And I mean, compared CID Tanganyika, it's down 9.42%, and it's down, you know, from last year. I think at the end, if I recall, for 2025, it ended right where we wanted it to be. I think it just picked up, probably with construction stuff going on out there.
Are you
First
talking
quarter.
I'm sure that didn't help, yeah.
sorry to interrupt, Brooke, are you talking about the Tanganyika specifically?
Yeah, because they're just kind of who I saw in there, and they're not picking them apart.
I
But I know like,
Are you confused? I mean,
the ball fields bring in outside sources as well. just kinda
overall,
what that
sales
looks like.
tax is up.
Mm-hmm.
Per se. I mean, if we look at our, you know, one of the first charts here, our sales tax is at 15 point something percent. So,
Yeah.
I mean, overall, sales tax is good. Tanganyika is kind of a little bit different, just the CID that you're seeing there. I think it's seasonal, it's,
Right.
you know, it's outside
Right.
of that whole number, and we don't, when you see sales tax here, their money's separate. So when they get their CID money in,
Right.
it goes directly to them. So it's kind of a separate, and it's a separate piece of the puzzle. But You know, sales tax, if you were looking citywide, looks like it's up, you know, 15%. I guess we could probably assume that sales tax in the Star Bond District's probably in that range as
I was just
well.
more thinking the foot traffic and the way that some of these places are structuring to bring in like outside sources, like our gas stations are just our local businesses in general, and what that looked like this year.
Councilwoman, I think anecdotally, Tangy is very happy with
Yeah.
how the last year has gone. And I serve on a board with Mr. Fouts, and he shared a statistic last week with us that, and I hope I don't get this wrong, the numbers were 80% and 60%. I believe that 80% of their patronage comes from outside of the county and 60% comes from outside of the state, which is
That's amazing.
huge for Goddard.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
why I
amazing.
tell people we're a regional tourism attraction, because when you factor in that and the Genesis Sports Complex,
Yeah.
which we know 700,000-800,000 annual visitors,
Quite a bit, yeah.
we are. It's a huge value to our community. You know, that 1 cent sales tax that we have, that's what allows us to do
Right.
1.25 million a year in roads while still having one of the lowest mill levies in Sedgwick County. So great assets to have in Goddard. Very unique for a community of 7,000, 6,000, whichever you want to go with. Very great for us to have.
Well, that's great. This is just kind of a little bit of a side note, but I would love to know, like, as we're looking at these numbers, and these could have been further talks before I was on council, but I'd like to know how we push some of those people coming down onto Main Street into those businesses as well. We've got another one that's open, and so.
I think action that you guys take Monday night will help greatly in that vision that you have.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you.
I've got some ideas on that, but I'll have to talk to the chief about it to get some people downtown.
This is why we need panning cameras.
Right in the next
Thank you,
one,
Brooke.
too.
Thank you.
Brooke, thanks.
Thanks, Brooke.
Okay. We are moving on. Item number.
All right, this will be brief, but again, this is all about Main Street today. So on Main Street, one of our initial goals is seeking designation through the Kansas Main Street program. So Kansas Main Street is the state affiliate with the National Main Street Center based out of Chicago. And as part of the designation process, we do have to go through a formal application process. We are seeking to become what's called an aspiring community with Kansas Main Street. And so one of the requirements, one of the things that the state is asking all communities that are going through the application process is to pass a local resolution stating that the local unit of government is in support of, in our case, Goddard Main Street's efforts in becoming a designated community and supporting in general downtown revitalization. So the resolution is attached to the staff report as well as in the agenda packet. And it's very brief, but again, this is just part of our application process, hoping to again become, starting at the designated level of aspiring community. Questions?
Questions? Pretty straightforward.
Yes, it is.
I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
I'm making a motion to adopt the resolution supporting Goddard Main Street's request to join the Main Street Kansas Main Street program.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, moving on. City manager's report. Are you gonna skip or are you gonna dance?
Mr. Mayor, no dance today. I just want to thank Danny, the Neighbors United Events Committee, Pathway, and all the other unnamed volunteers who locked arm in arm to serve our neighbors over the weekend. Awesome event, awesome cleanup day led by our Public Works Department. Just grateful to see everyone and their servant hearts out making our community better. So that's all I got.
Very good. Do you have any body comments? Start with the lady on the phone.
Naomi?
Hey there. Nope, just want to say thanks to everybody for all your hard work, for a great overview as always. Super excited about the park. Thanks for our partners at YC Bank. So, thank you guys.
Thank you. Krista?
I feel the same sentiments. Neighbors United was awesome. I was with my grandchildren that day, but I saw a lot of activity happening. Ace Hardware and all of their efforts and, you know, flowers and everything around our community. It's awesome to have a partner like them as well. So, yeah, moving right along.
Neighbors United as well, but I just want to take a second to also notate, we had 2 high school students, Brandon and Riley, who really had this entire thing. Each year Dane's got somebody working with him, and so we happened to get those 2 this year. Really, they did the majority of the work. I think Danny would concur. It went very smooth, so I'm very impressed, and it was cup filling as always, so.
My turn. Yeah, I'll just continue to echo all the support for Neighbors United. We really appreciate everyone that came out. Everyone supported that. We got a lot of good things done. I also wanted to thank the city and the rest of Main Street for hosting first graders last Friday for a field trip. My son was one of them from Explorer, but they loved it. They loved getting to see the police station and some of the shields that were in there. They loved touring some of the businesses down there. Getting to see the donuts being made, getting to see Iron Nutrition, the library. It was really awesome. I got good feedback, so thank you for everyone that helped make those first graders an exciting trip to Main Street.
Working to develop future voters. That's
Yeah.
good. Couple things. One, I will read this tonight. I am geeky enough to do that for a week or 2.
Good stuff.
And sometimes I don't even fall asleep when I'm doing it.
We're all looking at Brooke over here.
The other thing is Friday we'll be hosting a group of high school students, government classes. They're going to come in, and Naomi and I are going to entertain their questions, and I'll sing a couple songs. And Naomi will tell a couple jokes, and hopefully the kids will go away happy. I want to thank the staff for all their hard work. We've made it through April. A lot of unbelievable things. I mean, if you think back 2 years ago, if somebody would have said, you're going to be able to raise $1.7 million in grants and funding for a park, we would have all just been, oh, that would be awesome if it would happen. And I just want to say that is awesome that it has happened. It's humbling to see God's hand of favor on our community, and we have a lot to be thankful for here in Goddard. So just appreciate everyone, and hope you all continue to do. I know everybody shows up ready to work here, because if you don't, you're going to get run over. So thank you for doing that. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Thank you. Get a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting closed.